Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello students, how are you today? I hope you are always in a good condition. My name is Shinta Wulan. I'm from International Program on Science Education, batch 2017. So, in today's lesson, we will talk about something in a little amount, but it's very useful in our daily life. But if it is a large amount, it could be harmful. What is that? Of course, you're gonna have the answer at the end of the lesson. So, before we start the lesson, it could be better for us to say Basmalah first. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. May Allah bless our lesson. And do not forget to access the worksheet in QR code. So, while you follow this lesson, you can directly fill out the worksheet. And if you have finished, you can submit to my email. And okay, without any further ado, keep watching on the video. Okay, let's begin the lesson. Here I have several pictures. The first, the water can boil on a stove. The second, the ice melt in room temperature. The third, the table is getting warm by the hot tea placed on it. And the fourth, the scrambled egg cooked on the fan. I believe you are familiar with these pictures, but the question is, what cause of those things happen? Do you know the answer? The answer is because of the heat. What is actually the heat? Heat is transfer of energy due to the difference of temperature from higher temperature to lower temperature. But you have to remember that the heat is not temperature. Temperature refers to the degree of heat present, while heat is energy, so heat is not temperature. And there are three ways of heat to transfer. The first, conduction, convection, and radiation. We come first to the conduction. Conduction. What is conduction? In conduction, the heat is transferred by direct contact between the objects, whereby the molecules are colliding each other, resulting transportation of thermal energy to neighboring part of molecule. Here we have to underline the molecules are colliding each other and there is direct contact. So we're gonna say that the conduction is the transfer of the heat through solid. Why solid? Because the particles in solid are close together and they have a little freedom movement. So, when the heat is given to the solid, the particles are actively collide. So then the heat will transfer to neighboring part of molecule. Another example of conduction. Let's watch the video.
Let us take a look at a simple experiment. With the help of wax, stick nails at equal intervals on an iron rod. Now, heat one end of the rod. You can find that within some time, the nail nearest to the heated end falls off. After some time, the nail next to it falls off. In this order, all the nails fall off the rod with time. Why does this happen? The iron rod is made up of atoms, which are constantly in close contact with each other. When the rod is heated from one end, the atom which is near the flame gets heated first. Then, this atom, while remaining in its position, transfers heat to the adjacent atoms. These atoms in turn transfer heat to the next atoms. Similarly, loosely bound electrons also transfer heat energy. The free electrons, after acquiring the heat energy, drift through the metals and transfer heat energy by colliding with other atoms, as well as other free electrons within the metal rod. When the point where the nail is stuck to the rod gets heated, the wax melts and the nail falls off. As the heat continues to get transferred through the rod, the nail falls off. In this way, heat gets transferred through the rod. This type of heat transfer is called conduction. Hence, conduction is defined as the process of heat transfer, where heat is transferred from one atom to the other without the actual displacement of atoms.
So, from the video, we know that the conduction is the transfer of the heat through solid. The solid itself in the video is the iron rod. And now, what are the examples of the conduction? So, the first, when you boil the water, there is direct contact between the pot and the fire, so the pot will getting hotter from the bottom. And the second example is when you have the hot milk and you put the spoon on it. The spoon is getting hotter to the end of the spoon. Another example about conduction is when you cook the egg. So the handle of the pan is getting hotter to the end of the handle. So do not ever touch the metal while them heating because it will harm you. Now we come to the convection. What is convection? In convection, the heat is transferred whereby the movement of large number of molecules over large distance from one place to another movement of molecule. Are we gonna say the convection is the transfer of the heat through fluids? As we know, the fluids include of liquid and the gas, and the particles in liquid and the gas are slightly less close packed, and they have some freedom and can move around each other, so they can freely movement. And another explanation about convection. Let's watch the video.
Let us perform another simple activity. Take a test tube filled with water. Take a piece of ice and wrap a copper wire around it. On dropping this ice piece into the test tube, it settles to the bottom of the test tube. Now hold the test tube in a tilted position over a burner. The water at the top of the test tube starts getting heated. As we continue heating the test tube, the water at the top starts boiling, but still the ice at the bottom of the test tube does not melt. This means that water at the bottom has not yet been heated, and heat is not yet transferred to the bottom. This experiment clearly shows that liquids do not conduct heat as easily as solid, because the molecules of liquid are not arranged in close contact with each other. In comparison to liquids, gases fare even worse while conducting heat. But how does heat get transferred in liquids? Heat transfer in liquid takes place by a phenomenon called convection.
Okay, from the video about convection, we know that the convection is the transfer of the heat due to the movement of fluid. Now, what are the examples of the convection? The first, when you boil the water, the convection current will set it up. As you know in the previous about conduction, there is direct contact between the fire and the pot, and the pot will getting heated first. So then the water at the bottom will getting heated first too. So due to the difference of density, the hot water will replaced by cool water from above. So the hot water will rise while the cooler water will sink down. Another example is the room heater or gravity furnace. The room air will warm as the furnace produces hot air, and the hot air will rise, while the cooler air will sink down. It's the same with the previous about in boils the water. And the third example about convection is the hot air balloon. As the heater is warm the air, the warm air will rise, while the cold air will sink down. So, due to the convection current, the hot air balloon will rise up. And now we come to the radiation. What is radiation? In radiation, the heat is transferred through regardless of the medium. Does that mean no need medium in radiation? Yes, even in the empty space, the heat can transfer through radiation. The example is the sun radiating the earth. As we know, in outer space, there is no air or liquid. There is only an empty space. So, the solar energy carried by electromagnetic waves. And as we know, the electromagnetic waves doesn't involve medium to propagate. So another case in radiation is in incandescent lamp. Incandescent lamp have filament which produce the heat as they getting electricity, and also they have bulb. The bulb will make the incandescent lamp in vacuum condition, so there is no air in the lamp. What is the aim of the vacuum condition? That is for keeping away the oxygen from the hot filament, because when the hot filament and the oxygen reacted, it will burn. So the vacuum condition will prevent the burn. And the incandescent lamp we can find in for hatching the egg. So for the hatching the egg, you can use the incandescent lamp to hatch the egg. Another example about radiation is microwave oven. Microwave oven use the microwave to cook the food, and microwave is one type of electromagnetic wave which no need medium to propagate. So the microwave oven is the example of the radiation. And the microwave oven, the cooking process is oftenly called as inside out. Why? Because when the microwave penetrates to the food, the water molecules in the food will vibrate, and due to the vibration, it will produce the heat. So when the produce the heat is inside the food, it will cook the food. For further information about microwave, here are several parts of the microwave. For example is metal mesh, turntable, transformer, capacitor, magnetron, cooling fan, and waveguide. But here we will highlight for the magnetron, because the magnetron will convert the electricity into microwave, and the microwave will transmit it by the waveguide to cooking chamber. The cooking chamber is made of by the metal, so the microwave will reflect it in cooking chamber, and it will penetrate the food. And maybe you have heard that do not use metal to cook, or do not wrap the food by aluminum foil. Why? Because the metal will reflecting the microwave, and then it will prevent the microwave to penetrate the food, so the result is the food not cooked, or even the worst is it will burn the microwave. It's very dangerous, right? So the heat transfer in microwave oven works without any medium needed, since the heat will generate if microwave have succeed penetrates to the food. It's only special that have a label safe for microwave can be used to cook the food inside the microwave oven. So another example about radiation is the campfire, and when you have boiled the water, yes, the boiled water have the conduction, radiation, and convection, right? So when the campfire and the fire used to boil the water, it will warm you by the radiation, because you don't need to touch the fire to get warm. You only need to have a distance between the fire, and you put your hand for several distance and you getting warm. So the way to remember the radiation is you can feel the warmth without touching it. So now we have summarized. So there are three ways of heat to transfer. The first, conduction, convection, and radiation. For conduction is the heat transfer through solid, and the example is the pot on the stove. the handle and the hot tea, and the pan on the stove. And for the convection, the transfer of the heat is through the fluid. For the example, the hot air balloon, the gravity furnace or the room heater, and then the water rises and cold water sinks when we boil the water. And for the radiation, the transfer of the heat is true regardless of the medium. The example is the getting warm by campfire, an incandescent lamp, and the microwave oven. So, and here I have a little surprise for you, which is question time. Yes, so you can access the QR code or the link to have the quiz. The question is related to the explanation about the heat transfer as I explained before. So don't worry and good luck for the quiz. So maybe that's all for today's lesson. Let's end up the lesson by saying Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. And I would like to say thank you for following this lesson. I do really hope the lesson will be meaningful, helpful, and useful for you. And if you have anything next, just put in the comment box. Once again, thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you.